Okay, let's see a movie.
Nobody is going to believe a spurt of blood.
They'll believe anything we show them.
She's pretty good with that razor, huh? You gotta put her in the movie.
Well, I still don't know what to do when he comes in.
No, you're fine. You're stoned. You're confused. Besides, everything's happening too fast for you to even be scared.
It's trash. Killing somebody on film? It's sick.
No. This isn't what I thought it was.
Tell me, Dom, do you think people would pay to see something like that?
Sure, people pay to see anything.
People pay to see anything, and I highly recommend you pay to see Dusty Nelson's 1980 film Effects, shot in Pittsburgh right after Dawn of the Dead, so this is right around the same time. Starring Joe Pilato, John Harrison, Tom Savini, Deborah Gordon, a lot of Romero regulars. This is a Dusty Nelson film. Let me look at the, because I know Pat Booba worked on this as well. I don't think Tony worked on this one. He may have as like an editor, sound, he usually did some like post-production stuff sometimes, but yes, 1980 Effects by Dusty Nelson. And this is a film that not only would I recommend to every Romero fan, just for the simple fact that you get to see an early performance from Joe Pilato, which is a performance which is, like I think we talked about it, I guess it was last week, maybe the week before, that is like a complete 180 from his performance in Day of the Dead. Whereas Day of the Dead, he's very over the top, very boisterous. He's, the dictator, the Napoleon complex guy. In Effects, Pilato is the main babyface of the piece. Like, he's the good guy, and he's like this relatable, kind, just nice dude all around. So it's cool seeing, and he does a great job. So you're not only checking it out to see Pilato, you're checking it out to see John Harrison, of course, did the score for Creepshow, Day of the Dead, Screwdriver Zombie, director of Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, the Dune miniseries, George's close friend and confidant until the day George died. I mean, John Harrison, he even had a small cameo in Diary, I think, so I remember seeing the other night. But he plays the main bad guy, the main heel, the main villain in this film, and he's fantastic. And it's like this silent. It's like he's the guy that doesn't say a lot. He's the quiet psychopath. There's always the wheels turning. He's manipulating, moving the chess pieces. That type of guy. Tom Savini, early role from Tom Savini in this. He's a lot of fun. The one that really stood out to me the last time I watched it a couple of weeks ago, and every time I watch this film, I like it more and more, and I recommend that when you check this out, give it a few weeks and watch it again, because there are things in this film that you will catch on the second, third, fourth tries of going through and watching it that you missed the first time. And for me, it gets better with every viewing. Because you kind of see it's really, really, really well made. I think the biggest negative that I have for Effects is the ending. I think they kind of just started to run out of money, and the ending didn't quite hit on all cylinders. But the rest of the movie, I don't know. I just love it. I like these type of movies anyway. It's just it's a different kind of horror film. It's very self-aware because it's a movie. It's basically a movie about people that are making a movie, but they're not really making a movie. There's actually another bigger thing going on that not everybody's in on. It's one of those type of films. The score is really like the John Harrison does the score on this, and you can kind of hear the early seeds being planted for what he would do with Creepshow and Day of the Dead. Love the score. I actually have it on CD. I bought the effects score on CD not too long ago. But yes, I highly recommend this, not just if you're a Romero fan, I would recommend this film to just if you're a film fan in general, if you're a horror fan in general. I think it's one that everybody should see because it is a legitimately well-made, low budget, very, very low budget, but, Pittsburgh made, smart. It's a very smart film. The dialogue is very smart, and the performances. Like I was saying a minute ago, I think I just wandered off, but Deborah Gordon in this, who most people probably just know as one of the zombies in Dawn of the Dead, because she's at a lot of the Living Dead weekends and whatnot. But her performance in this is one that I appreciate more and more the more that I watch it. I think she does a fantastic, and it's just a great look. Like I just every time I watch it, I'm like, damn, like she could have done more. I think she had more of a future in acting, but yeah, I've recommended this to people that aren't huge Romero fans, that are just fans of film in general. I'm like, all right, like my buddy Rory, like he likes Romero stuff, but he likes horror, he likes movie. He's just a film lover, film buff. And this is one that I recommended and he picked up. This is the AGFA release that I got through Vinegar Syndrome. It's the 4K version. It's the best version you're going to find. It's one of the story to effects is kind of. I feel like it would have been bigger if there was a Richard Rubenstein behind it that knew how to market it and knew how to sell it. Maybe get a few more bucks to really make it hit home in that third act. But the story of it is weird, like because they finished filming in 1980, got released in 1980, but it was only released in like a handful of theaters and then like disappeared. I don't even know if it had much of a VHS release. And this, like in the 80s, like if something doesn't have a VHS release, like what the fuck? But it was just one of those films that like nobody really talked about, nobody really heard of for years and years and years. And I think Synapse put out the DVD back in the early 2000s. Which I think it's out of print now, kind of hard to find. Then there was the Blu-ray release that I was showing off and talking about, I think, last week. And then this is literally just the best transfer, because I think it's a 4K restoration from the original 16mm camera negative. It's got commentary with producer and star John Harrison, director Dusty Nelson, and editor Pasquale Buba. So yeah, I highly recommend this. It's a really great, late 70s, early 80s, low budget Pittsburgh horror film, but with like so much more going on underneath. And I will say this, there's a scene in this film that I find, it's the snuff, we'll just say when they're watching the snuff film, we won't get into too much detail, but when they're watching I find that truly like one of the more disturbing scenes that I've seen, just because of the reaction of the people that are watching it. Like, they're all reacting differently for different reasons, and then there's confusion. Is this real? Is this not? It's very reminiscent of like the scene from Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, when they're sitting there watching the home invasion on the TV and just their reactions to it. Like, that's the uneasy thing about it. But yeah, check it out. Effects, 1980, directed by Dusty Nelson, starring Joe Pilato, Tom Savini, John Harrison. It's a great film. There's a twist to it. I don't want to say too much and spoil it if you've never seen it, never really heard of it. But yeah, check it out. I think you could probably find it. I think it's on Tubi. Last time I checked. But yeah,